Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of our RPS partnership meeting. This is going to be the first of many. And as we often say, this work is truly work that we all have to do together. We cannot do it alone. We are not going to try. We need you, but more importantly, we thank you. This has been quite a year, and we would not have been able to make it through this year without your partnership. So I just want to, on behalf of our division, on behalf of our families and students, we just start this call with an immense amount of gratitude. During our time today, we are going to give some reopening updates. We're going to talk about what does partnership look like moving forward, share with you our literacy efforts, but more importantly, save some time for Q&A to hear from all of you. We are joined by our chiefs today, Michelle Hudasco, our Chief of Staff, Alana Gonzalez, our Chief Operations Officer, Dr. Tracy Epp, our Chief Academic Officer, Harry Hughes, our Chief Schools Officer, and then we also have our Director of Family and Community Engagement, Dr. Aaron Brown, and then you all probably know this person very well, our Coordinator of Community Partnerships, Grady Hart. And now I'm going to turn it over to our Superintendent, Jason Camrus, who's going to start with giving us a reopening with Love 2.0 update. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harris, and good afternoon to everybody on the call. Looks like we have over 75 folks. It's so wonderful to have so many incredible partners joining us today. As we have often said, we can't do this work alone, and we're not going to even try. And we are grateful to each and every one of you for the many, many different ways that you partner with RPS to help us all together reach our goals for our students. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what next year is going to look like. And we have a little presentation to walk you through this. So if the team can put that up, fantastic. Thank you so much, Casey. So Reopen with Love 2.0, the sequel, as it were. Just like last year, we will be guided by some key principles as we reopen. First and foremost, to extend grace and love to all of our students, staff, and families, and our partners. We know coming back is going to require a lot of effort, a lot of mental shifts, a lot of protocol changes, and it's going to be anxiety producing for everyone. And so just like last year, want to make sure that we extend grace to each other and to ourselves as we make this important change back to in-person instruction. Second, of course, want to make sure that we are protecting everyone's health and safety, including their mental health. And we have, I imagine, many of our mental health partners on the call today. Just want to say thank you so much for all the work that you do in helping us protect the mental health of our students. And I'll talk a little bit about everything we're going to be doing also on the physical health and safety side in just a second. And then last, communicate, communicate, communicate. We can never do it enough. And so we're trying to get the word out about what next year is going to look like in lots of different formats. This is just one of those. As you may have seen from the RPS Direct, the engagement team has some incredible things going on with community walks and mobile conversations, community corners. We're going to do more series like this. So lots and lots of efforts to get the word out, hear feedback, and provide more information. All right, turning to next year, what is it going to look like? Well, first we have option one for every family is 5 days a week of in-person instruction. We're super excited to have everybody back in our buildings. And so this is the default option. So families don't need to do anything to be signed up for in-person instruction next year. At the same time, we know that there are still some families who will be a little bit hesitant about sending their kids back, and we can go to the next slide. We know for some medical reasons, there are still going to be some families that really want to continue with the virtual pathway. And so we will be offering that to our students. We have a virtual academy that we're going to be running ourselves with RPS teachers for pre-K to 5th grade. And so that will be, again, with RPS teachers in many ways similar to this year. That will start on September 8th, just like everybody else in person. For our middle school and high schoolers, we're going to be using courses, online courses from the Virginia Department of Education with licensed Virginia teachers, but won't necessarily be RPS teachers. This is a program that the VDOE has been running for a little while now. We're excited to partner with them. Their first day would be August 24th, so a little bit earlier. Nothing we can do about that. That's the way the state runs the program. I do want to note, anytime a family who has chosen to go virtual wants to come back in person, we, of course, will welcome them back in person. And so I know it says here the end of the quarter, end of the semester. That's, of course, ideal, but it is your right to come back at any time. So I did want folks to know that. Also, if you are a family or you know of a family that is interested in going virtual, our deadline to let us know is June 1 so that we can plan appropriately for the staffing needs. All right, let's dive into what are we doing to help make sure everything is healthy and safe. First and foremost, encouraging everybody to get their vaccines. So partners, I imagine you all have gotten your vaccines. We are also strongly encouraging our students now 12 years old and up to get their vaccines. And of course, welcome your support and assistance on that front. We had a great event at George Wythe last weekend where we began to vaccinate kids, again, as young as 12. I have an 11-year-old who will be 12 in August, so he will be getting his vaccine then right before school starts. We're excited about this because it means that by the time we reopen in September, all of our high schoolers can be vaccinated, almost all of our middle schoolers, and we're keeping out hope that the vaccine will be available for elementary age students by the end of the summer as well, which would be absolutely incredible. We have a number of things that we're going to be doing in addition to the vaccines, of course. We have a daily symptom screening protocol that kids and families will do before they even leave their house, and staff will do when they enter the building. Same thing with visitors, partners, and so on. So that is going to be an important part of our process. Next slide. Anytime we have a student or staff member who demonstrates symptoms of illness, COVID or otherwise, we're going to have a supportive care space to keep an eye on them until they can be picked up or can go home. These spaces will be supported by nurses and make sure that everyone gets what they need until, again, an adult can come pick up a student. Or if an adult doesn't have a means of transportation, a family member or friend can come pick them up as well. Next slide. Masks. As of now, we are requiring masks at all times for all students, all staff, all partners, with the exception of when kids are eating. That guidance may evolve over the next few months, but that is our guidance for now, and we are sticking with it. So masks will still be required. Hand washing and hand sanitizing, of course, still very important and very basic and very simple. We've been hard at work continuing to upgrade all of our bathrooms with touchless paper towel dispensers, touchless soap dispensers, and doing lots of other fixes for our bathrooms. And those of you who are on the call who participated in our bathroom blitzes before, thank you so much. We now, fortunately, through the federal funding, have all the money we need to complete all that work. So I think kids are going to be really excited when they come back and see all of the upgrades that have been completed when school opens. Distancing, we are shooting for 3 feet as of right now. We recognize there will be times when we may not be able to fully achieve that. I do want to note the distancing guidelines continue to evolve. So it might be by the time we come back that those distancing guidelines have been removed altogether. We'll see, but for now we're shooting for 3 feet apart. Transportation, we're doing a number of things. First and foremost, windows will be down whenever possible. We're adding air filtration units when the windows can't be down. We will have 2 kids to a seat, but are taking all of the steps to keep the air nice and clean for our students as we transport them back to school. HVAC and air quality, we're doing a ton of work to upgrade the air filters in our HVAC systems, make other maintenance repairs while we're closed this year. We're also adding HEPA filtration units in all of our classrooms and all of our offices and common spaces. These are medical grade units. So really excited about this investment because it's going to help us for years to come keep our air as clean as it possibly can, not just from COVID and other germs, but also from dust and mold, if it exists, and pollen, and all kinds of things to really help kids and our staff breathe healthy and clean air. Of course, when there is a positive case, we will continue to follow the guidance of the VDH and do all the contact tracing that is necessary. And then if we go to the next slide, when it is necessary, impose quarantines or closures. These are becoming much, much less common now that most folks are vaccinated, at least on the adult end. And so we'll continue to upgrade this guidance as we hear more from the CDC and the VDH. We have a great family checklist that we are sharing with our families in person and online to help make sure they have all the information that they need and they know where to go. If they don't have that information, you can find that on our website at rvaschools.net/checklist. And we have lots of community walks coming up. Check it out on our website, rvaschools.net/walks. It's a great opportunity to talk to the RPS team, our family liaisons, and other folks out in the community, talking to neighbors and community partners, sharing information, gathering feedback. It's a really personal way to get the word out, and we're really excited to be able to continue this work. And I think that covers it for now.
Thank you, Superintendent Camrus. Dr. Epp, I'm going to have you come on camera and just talk a little bit about our literacy efforts before we open it up for Q&A. I know lots of you may have questions about our reopening updates, but also want to make sure you hear about our laser focus on literacy and some of the new initiatives where we really need your support plugging in. Dr. Epp?
Thanks, Sade. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here. As you may have heard, we have an intense focus on early literacy going into the upcoming school year. The challenge we face as a school system, like many school systems coming out of COVID, but I think also prior to, we have a real challenge with less than half of our students in the early grades being on track to read on grade level by third grade. So we try not to use the word crisis lightly, but we do in fact have a literacy crisis. And if we do not tackle this literacy challenge early in a student's academic career, that struggle will continue to hold them back later on in their as they go through their academic career. So what that means for us is we must make early literacy our #1 priority and do whatever it takes to ensure our students are able to read on grade level. And this matters for a whole host of reasons. First and foremost, I think we all know that reading is the foundation for our students and learning at all grade levels. But we also know that the correlation between not reading on grade level by third grade is associated with so many challenges later in life. For example, as you all know, we as a school district have historically struggled with on-time graduation rates. Well, a student who is not reading on grade level by third grade is 1,200% more likely to not graduate from high school by the age of 19 than their peers who do read on grade level by third grade. And so what we are asking of our partners, in addition to the work we're doing within the school day is to support our early literacy efforts. And while there are many, many things we can do, we've tried to synthesize this into 3 areas that our partners can help us with. First and foremost, helping build student and family home libraries. There is nothing more powerful for a young reader than to feel like they have books of their own, books of their choosing, and books that they love. And one of the ways we can do this, coming in the fall, we are launching across all of our elementary schools book vending machines. So imagine the same vending machine where you go to get a Snickers bar or a bag of Cheetos, if that's your guilty pleasure like mine. But instead, you can get books. And so our students will earn tokens throughout the school day, and they can get books for free out of our vending machine. But we do need partners to help us with that. We also want to create a culture of reading in our students' homes. And so helping families also create home libraries. We also imagine community literacy events, things like hosting a block party centered around books and reading, or helping us coordinate and promote family literacy nights. The sky is the limit in terms of ideas. We just put some things here to give you some concrete examples. But the idea is that with our community partners like you, if we have partner schools, you can establish coordination with each school in support of building a culture of reading and coordinating efforts with the school leadership to really increase this broader joy of reading in our schools. The second big category is around literacy mentors. So one of the most effective ways to increase students' ability to read is to read and to have people who are fluent readers practice reading with them. And so we need literacy mentors who will serve as reading buddies who can share their love of reading with students and read to and with our students. And then lastly, as we think about extended day or after school care, with the change of our school schedule, our elementary schools will start the school day earlier, but that means they'll end the school day earlier. And that gives us an opportunity to provide robust out of school time programming to every elementary school, whereby students can get time dedicated for literacy support, as well as time for enrichment that is offered by many of you as our community partners. Or said another way, our community partners can support these efforts through financial support, volunteer support, or also helping us tell the story of all the great work that you and our partners are doing in RPS.
Thank you so much, Dr. Epp. And at this time, we want this to be a conversation. Tracy, do you want to say a little bit about the bell schedule? You briefly touched on it, but I know some of our partners may have some questions.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I should have hit on that more specifically. So the board recently approved a revised bell schedule that has our elementary students starting earlier in the day and our high school students starting later in the day. And the reason for that is to align with the recommendations of the American Pediatric Association, so that our adolescents are not, our adolescents have sufficient sleep and are therefore able to engage in school. It also allows us to have our younger students who we know are up and at 'em typically in the morning and get them engaged in reading work and in academic work early in the day. So our middle school schedule is largely unchanged, and we've essentially flipped our high school start time and our elementary start time.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Epp. So again, let's turn it over to the question and answer. As Casey said when we first started the meeting, there's a Q&A chat button. Feel free to put your questions in there. Members of the team will be able to live answer them or answer them on the call, but also we want to hear from you. So you can also use the raise your hand feature, and then we'll ask you to come off mute and would love for you to ask your question directly to us. So don't be shy, use the raise your hand feature. But to get started, I'll ask one of the questions that is in the chat to Superintendent Cameras. Will partners be able to take students off campus for field trips? If not, will partners be able to meet with students on their campus outside of the buildings? What about inside buildings?
So my gut is to say most likely yes, given the trajectory of the guidance that is coming out of the CDC. Things are beginning to return more and more to normal, or whatever normal will be going forward. I do want to make some distinctions between elementary and secondary, only because as of right now, as you all know, the vaccine is available to high schoolers and most middle schoolers, and that changes things pretty dramatically at those levels. There's a good chance that by the fall, the same will be true for elementary students. So I don't want to say definitively, yes, we'll be able to have all the field trips and all the partner work in and out of schools as we would normally. I do think that's where we're headed. I think the big asterisk is on the elementary level, given the availability of vaccine there.
Great. And Dr. Epp, this is for you. Are you seeking class sets of books for vending machines? And for your literacy mentors, do you want those to focus on K-3 or higher grades as well?
Great, thank you. I was just about to type that in the Q&A. Yes, thank you. We certainly will be asking for donations of sets of books for the vending machines. We would like to be able to provide a preferred set of titles that align to our student interests and grade levels, and also have volunteers with partner organizations help the school manage that process through restocking the machine, getting feedback from students about offerings, etc. In terms of reading tutors, our focus will be first and foremost on K-3, but certainly once we fill that need, we know that we have students in the older grades who also need reading support. So if there's a particular interest, we can match folks with middle school as well.
Great. And Kelly's asking, as a continuing partner who interacted virtually with students last year, will virtual connections still be available with students via Google Meet?
Yes, we do. We do plan to continue our Google Classroom system. And so all the features currently available through our Google Suite will be available. Our students will continue to have one-to-one devices in the coming year. And so that's something we look forward to building upon.
All right, Superintendent Cameras, for volunteers coming into schools, how will they be sharing their daily symptom check info online or upon arrival to school?
I believe that will be upon arrival to school, although I'll ask Ms. Hudaska, who is our health and safety guru, to chime in on that one.
Sure. Hey, everyone. You'll come to the main office and sign in on the computer using the Raptor system. In addition to identifying information, you'll have a chance to answer the symptom questions there. So while we do ask that you take a symptom check before you leave the house, you'll have a chance to document that on the computer when you get to the office.
Meredith is asking, can vending machines fit picture books? Some are larger, or should we stick to small size chapter books? And Dr. Epp, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the picture you showed me, it looks like they are big enough to fit picture books. Is that correct?
Yes, I do know. We'll want to get some specifics. We can definitely create a one-pager. I'm glad to see this idea has some traction. So we can create kind of some basic guidance. Yes, I know, for example, that if you've seen the paperback of Hair Love, which is a rather large book, I know it fits that. I don't know the specifics around hard copy versus soft copy and things like of that nature. So we'll get some more specific guidelines for partners who are interested in helping us with that effort. I also can't wait for y'all to see them. They're really cool.
All right, Tara is asking, will you be allowing partners in the buildings to support staff and provide support for teachers with food?
Again, I think come the fall, we will be in a place where we will be able to do that. Again, my asterisk is there might be some difference between elementary and secondary given the availability of vaccines. So stay tuned on that one.
Great. Dr.
Can
Brown,
I
do
add
we have-
just one other little caveat to that too? And that is, at least for right now, we aren't doing communal food. So as we're thinking about food, it should be things that are boxed versus everyone kind of leaning and breathing over the shared platters. But hopefully, again, we'll be moving away from that too.
Dr. Brown, I was going to ask if there are any hands, but someone did put in the chat, will this recording be shared? You guys are enjoying all this information. It will be shared. We'll also share the one pager that Dr. Epp presented with our focus areas for partners as well. Any raised hands, Dr. Brown?
No raised. Oh, we do have one. We actually
Okay.
have Dearsley, and I'm going to actually allow you to ask your question.
There, unmute. Hi, everybody. This is so exciting. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm interested in the OST time for elementary. And if you can speak a little more about programming that might happen, if we can roll services in at that same time, and transportation.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dearsley. It's good to hear your voice. Yeah, Tracy, can you talk a little bit more about the vision for the expanded after school offerings at the elementary level, particularly given the bell change, and what is the ask of partners, or how do they plug in to be able to participate in that expanded offerings? And that might also be Grady or Dr. Harris. So I'll leave all of you.
I'll start and then invite Grady and Sade to add in. We imagine, so if the elementary school day ends at 2:45, there's a time for transition and snack with extended day services beginning around 3 o'clock, with staffed by our community partners offering enrichment support. So say at least 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour for enrichment, and then 45 minutes to an hour for literacy or other academic support. And so then students are able to get extended time, and we imagine that day wrapping up somewhere in the 5 to 5:30 range. We're still gathering feedback from parents, and we certainly would welcome feedback from community partners. What we are looking to do, first and foremost, is we certainly want to coordinate. So we know we need multiple partners to provide services for extended day across our school system, but we also want to have a coordinating entity and a method for us to coordinate all the different offerings that our partners have. So we're working to build that. And then we also want to start thinking in long-term ways. So rather than every year kind of having a whole new plan, how do we begin to think about this year 1, year 2, year 3? Again, the themes, the focus areas for extended day or out of school time are really further academic support with a particular focus on literacy, enrichment that excites and engages our students in various content and activities they may not get otherwise. Social support, so students who may need additional support, counseling and other things of that nature, or ways to build socio-emotional skills. And then, of course, ultimately aligning with the important metrics with our school day. So does out of school time participation correlate with improved attendance, correlate with improved academic achievement, improved engagement in school? And again, so we want to be able to work better with our partners to track data, provide our partners data, et cetera. In terms of if you're interested in becoming a formal out of school time partner, I think we're in the process of outlining a short-term method for folks to propose work in the 21-22 school year. We will do a formal large RFP in December for the following school year. And so we'll be working with Grady to follow up with each of you on specifics for what you can do to help in 21-22 versus long-term. Hope that made sense.
Great, thank you.
If I can just add, so if anybody's watching, they want to help with extended after school support, who should they email? Grady?
Grady, is that okay with you? I just want to make sure we're putting all partner requests through one, but I wanted to just confirm that is my answer, but I want to make sure, Grady, that's okay with you.
Yes, that's okay.
Awesome.
Look forward to seeing those.
Thank you, Grady. And pretty much everybody knows Grady, so that works too. So if you're interested in helping us expand those offerings, just so everybody knows, my goal is that every RPS elementary student will have a structured enrichment and academic after school opportunity until at least 5 o'clock. So as to ensure both that they have the opportunity for their own growth and development, but also to mitigate any childcare burdens created by the new schedule. One question I did get about the new schedule is we understand adolescents need to be starting later, but why can't you have the little ones start a little bit later too? Frankly, it comes down to transportation. We can't transfer everybody all at the same time. There just aren't enough buses and bus drivers, enough routes to pull that all off. That's why there's a stagger, but we don't want any family to face any hardship when it comes to childcare because of the change. And so again, want to be able to offer that on the elementary level to make up for the earlier release time. So looking for all the help that we can get. Thank you.
Great. Michelle, this might be a question for you. How would the daily symptom screening work for students who walk and ride the bus to schools related to screening at home?
Sure. Sorry, I answered that one in the chat, but happy to share for everyone too. So kids need to take the symptom checker at home, regardless of whether they're on the walk, a walker, or on the bus. If when they get to school, an adult notices that they seem to be exhibiting symptoms, or if they share that they're not feeling well, then we'll shift to a nurse assessment by one of our licensed nurses that's on staff in all of our buildings. If necessary, the child can move to the supportive care space and then arrange for pickup.
Great, thank you. Erin, any more hands?
I do see Dearsley. I think it might be a follow-up question. I'm going to let you unmute.
Oh, sorry, I just put it back down, I thought.
Okay.
There.
All right, Janine is asking, what about OST transportation, student activity buses? Will those be available in the fall?
Yes. Yes. We're going to try to get things as back to normal as we possibly can. So yes, those will exist next year.
Dr. Epp, will workshops be held by RPS focusing on the preferred methods of reading with children or tutoring reading for K-3?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, we would love for our partners to really work to support the various programs and methods that we have in place. And so our academic supports team will provide training and guidance for you all. Again, we want to try to, we want to make sure we're utilizing your insights and expertise, and also bringing to bear what we already have in place, so that we're not, reinventing the wheel. So we will certainly provide that training and support.
Great. With the one-to-one volunteer opportunities continuing virtually, especially with virtual mentoring, how will the school district mitigate any risk associated with external partners meeting with students on a one-to-one basis?
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, Michelle.
So I think that the most important thing to say first is you can never mitigate all risk. So I just want to name that there's a variety of strategies, of course, that we put together, from masks, distancing, hand washing, etc. But unfortunately, that's never something that's 100%. But I think to some of the earlier points that were made, right now, while the reason we haven't 100% confirmed, especially at the elementary level, that external folks will have full in-person access is just because we're thinking about limiting exposure, sort of that potting idea. But I think if and when then it's determined safe, we would just simply keep in place the same adult to student precautions that would be in place between students and teachers.
Great. April is asking, as a former educator, I love the book vending idea. And someone just answered that question and took it out of my eyesight. Okay, here it goes. I love the book vending idea. Kids are proud to own their own books. What is the best way for a partner to participate in the book vending donation? Any suggestions for a monetary amount or number of books needed per month? I'll take the first part of that question. If you are interested in being a partner with RPS, supporting the vending machine, being a mentor, you are going to email Grady Hart, ghart@rvaschools.net. We are going to streamline everything through our partnership coordinator. It sounds like that one pager we did was really good to help narrow our focus to those 3 areas. So again, we'll send that out. And if you could follow up with Grady, we'll let you know next steps. And Tracy, do you want to say a little bit about the monetary part of that question?
Yes, well, I love the question, so thank you. I will get a dollar amount if an organization wanted to, sponsor a school's vending machine for the year. My dream is that we would have 26 organizations that, business partners or community organizations that would sponsor each school's vending machine for books and keep those filled. So we, in addition to the suggested titles and parameters for donations, we'll also get a dollar amount if that were a better way to contribute. So we'll get both of those pieces of information.
Great. Would love to have some people raise their hand and come off mute and ask their questions. Dr. Brown, do we have anybody?
No hands raised. Shy group.
All right, we'll wait a little bit longer for any other questions before we close out. While we're doing that, Superintendent Cameras, do you have any kind of closing words as we're waiting for a couple more questions? And
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Harris. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you making the time this afternoon. We're going to have lots more opportunities to engage, and we appreciate so much the grace that you have shown us over the last year and a half, and the flexibility, creativity, and commitment of time and treasure, which really has enabled us to respond to our students' needs. There are lots of you on the call who enabled us to get food out the door right when we closed in March of 2020, then helped us with technology. And we're just incredibly grateful. It truly does take a village, and we have an incredible village here in Richmond, and you guys are a big and important part of that. So we can't thank you enough, and we look forward to strengthening that village as we go into next year. Lots to do, but I am incredibly excited about bringing everybody back and really vaulting forward next year and beyond.
Thank you, Superintendent Cameras. Lots of great just not even questions, but shout outs to the team, everybody, on these great ideas as we continue our focus on literacy, but just reopening with love 2.0. That is truly what we're trying to do, and we need your partnership to do it. We are going to continue these partnership meetings. So thank you for joining. I know Grady literally called everybody to make sure they knew about today's meeting, and we will continue to reach out. We know we need to get a little bit more clearer with our OST. And again, we're working on that, and we'll have a similar one pager to you guys very soon. And we'll get you guys the reading one pager out right after this meeting. So again, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to our next partnership call. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.